It's Nick of that second quarter that completely flipped this game on its head.
That's where that second wave of tenacious defenders came in for OKC. When you get Alex Caruso and Kaysen Wallace coming in off the bench as your defenders, you're able to keep Chet Holmgren or Isaiah Hartenstein on the floor at all times. Just makes it so difficult to get downhill and do what Memphis wants to do, which is attack the lane either with its drives from Ja Morant or with its rolls from guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. and Zach Edey. As you saw the Thunder's defense just continue to swarm, Royce, what stood out to you about just the way that this team is able to come at you wave after wave?
Just how connected defensively they are. It stands out, Nick, really kind of whatever Memphis was trying to do offensively. There was times where they obviously were big with Zach Edey in the middle, and they, the Thunder were able to go under a lot of screens with Ja Morant. That it was obviously the game plan, but just no space for Ja to do what he's great at, which is getting deep into the paint, hitting floaters, or using his athleticism at the rim. But then there was the other possessions where, guys like Santi Aldama or Desmond Bane, good shooters from the perimeter, John Conchar, and the Thunder would just nail their switches, and there was just never any real room to breathe air on the offensive end for Memphis. And again, so many possessions, you look up at the shot clock, and all of a sudden it's at 6, and Memphis is resetting their possession back near half court.
Well, there were 3 shot clock violations on Memphis, and another possession where Memphis just didn't even get a shot off there at the end of the half. And so those types of possessions just really grind you down, and it's something that the Thunder has shown an ability to do all season long, is just force teams to be uncomfortable throughout an entire shot clock. And that also shows up in the turnover game. The Thunder once again forcing over 20 turnovers 22 times this season, so about a quarter of the games the Thunder was able to force 20 or more turnovers. That's just a habit at this point, even though it's not something that they're really setting out to do.
It's a great call, Nick, because it's kind of like a boxing match where it's just like the kind of body blows chipping at you. Just throughout the match, it just has to wear on you that every possession you feel like you're laboring through it, and then all.
NetCredit is here to say yes, even when other lenders won't. Apply online in minutes and get funds deposited the next business day or sooner.
Shots, the rhythm was disrupted. Like I'm thinking of a Desmond Bane 3 that he had wide open in the corner, a good shooter right there, and he's not able to knock it down. The rhythm that you get disrupted, that can really add up to you there.
Yeah, and now after hearing from Royce and getting to analyze it a little bit, we're going to head to the press conference room. Mark Daigneault is ready for us.
Push Memphis over the edge. I thought we did a good job tonally to start the game. We were ready to play. Thought we were tight in our stuff. And like I said, set a good tone. But they played 36 hours ago and had an emotional game. Had to turn around and play at noon today, which is a really tough turnaround. So they're going to be better, Tuesday. So I thought we did a good job. But, I don't think we can expect that. From them, they're going to play a lot better than that. They're going to be fresher. They have big-time competitors. So we need to be ready to play on Tuesday.
A lot of that lead was built, when Shea was on the bench in the second. This probably speaks more to your depth. Just what you see when he was gone for the team to build that lead.
Yeah, the units played well all year. They played well tonight. I thought Dub really set the tone with his facilitation. He did a really good job of getting the ball ahead of them. And then we made really good plays off of it. We made shots, and we also made extra passes and got ourselves some closeouts on offense. And so I thought he really set a tone just for the way he moved the ball. And so that group was positive, but all the way through, I was impressed with how the guys came out and played.
Yeah, Mark, you guys set quite a few franchise playoff records tonight. One of them that sticks out is most forced turnovers in a game. So what do you like about you guys' point of attack defense? And didn't really seem like the Grizzlies got many good looks all night.
Yeah, we were amped up. I give the guys a lot of credit for the week of practice that we had. That's a sneaky tough week because it's a lot of days without a game. It gets you out of the rhythm of games, and you have to get back into a kind of a practice mindset. And I thought they did a great job all week of just taking it a day at a time and knocking out what we needed to knock out. Our staff and two-way guys did a great job all week of helping us get ready. So I thought we were really sharp, start the game. I give a lot of credit to the preparation. But again, we've got to now, win the gaps between the games and prepare for the next one.
Then on the other side of the floor, 36 assists for you guys. What do you like about the ball movement, and not only the ball movement, but the player movement that you guys had tonight?
Yeah, it took us a minute to get to there. I thought we were just like a little, late in the first quarter. And as it wore on in the first half, I thought we got a rhythm in terms of the way we moved it. And I thought we were sharp in our actions, which gets the initial advantage. So you combine those two things, and you're more difficult to guard.
Mark, what did you see from Chet tonight, especially the looks he was getting offensively?
Yeah, I thought he was really good. He's still working back, from a long layoff and injury. He's obviously a lot better now than he was right after it. He's put a lot of work in and done a great job. So he set a really good tone for us tonight on both ends of the floor, rim deterrence. He was good on the glass, scrappy on the glass, and then had a good blend on offense.
Mark, you've had times throughout the year where you've had this avalanche of run throughout a game. It's not the same group of guys all the time that does it. Is the easy answer it's defense that keys that, or what do you feel like really builds when you guys have those moments in games?
I think it's the easy answer. I think it's defense. It's hard to have a run when you're not stacking stops up, and we have to lean into that as a team as we go into all these games. We got to understand that's one of the hardest things about playing against us is when we're really physical and executing our stuff and engaged on that end of the floor. So, I thought we were in a good place tonight, combined with probably some of their fatigue, and we've got to turn around and be really sharp with that on Tuesday, because they're going to be a lot sharper, like I said.
Is one of the hardest things against you guys the fact that run, that avalanche can come with a group that's largely second wave guys? And I guess it would just be hard for opponents. Do you feel like the ability to have that kind of run out with, Shea on the bench, Jalen on the bench, whatever the case might be, just really makes you guys difficult? Yeah,
we just want to be a 48-minute team. We want to have balance in all the units. We're fully healthy right now, so it gives us a lot of options. And I thought everybody that went in the game tonight, including the guys down the stretch, did a great job of being ready to play. And playing, compete together basketball, which is what we want to be about.
Mark, it's Easter Sunday. Obviously a noon tip-off. Can you talk about the crowd? And you seem to give them some. They gave it back. It just completely engaged the entire game.
Yeah, happy Easter to all our fans. And, the crowd was, as usual, great. It's expected at this point because of the tone that they've set over all these years. But, we get great energy from them, the support they give us. And they're great when, the wind's in our face as well. During courses of the game, they help get behind us, and they've done that for years, obviously, here. So we're grateful to them. Need them again on Tuesday.
Mark, Shea had his usual bad game every 3 months today. And you win by historic margins. Not just win, but easy. Is that comforting as a coach to know even if your superstar is off, you don't have to scratch and claw to win?
That's what a team is. You don't want to be dependent on one player for anything. You don't want to. Lou Dort's a great defender, but our defense shouldn't be predicated on how Lou defends. I think that's what teams do is they pick each other up, and they compensate for one another. The whole's better than the sum of the parts, and that allows everybody to just stay plugged in. I thought Shea didn't have it going early with his shooting. But stayed inside of what we were trying to do, played a really good floor game, especially in the third. I thought he came out of halftime with great intentionality. He just made all the right plays, got his teammates shots. They started doubling him. I thought he handled those really well. So,
Look like your bigs, both Chet and Nyhart, they complemented each other really well tonight, offense and defense, whether it's rim protection, scoring, feeding the open guy tonight.
Yeah, we've put a lot of time into that, since Chet's been back, just because he missed so much time, and that was just a version of our team that we didn't really know, and they didn't really know. So we've done that a lot, for this purpose, because there's going to be times in games and times in this series where we're going to need those guys out there together, and they've developed a great rhythm and collaboration on both ends of the floor. I thought they played really well in their minutes together today.
And for a game that was pretty much over at halftime, you guys, it stayed pretty clean. Had like a 10-0 run to start the third quarter, and they never really let it devolve into just kind of ugly basketball.
Yeah, we want to play the possessions and not the score. That's important. It's a series. We play Memphis again Tuesday. So regardless what the score is, whether you're up or down, you're always building habits. You're always setting a tone in a series. And I thought all the guys did a great job of just running through the finish line of the game. And taking advantage of every possession, not playing the score.
Michael Martin, let's talk Thunder. Mark, you mentioned a lot of the context around the Grizzlies and sort of the play and the emotions of them getting this quick turnaround. With a game like this and sort of the margin, how much can you extrapolate from a game like this, or is it more so just burn the tape in a lot of ways because of just how different it is from a regular game?
never burn the tape. You get a sense of how they're trying to attack, and you get a sense of how they try to counter certain things that we do. So we can definitely learn from it. So can they. Both teams will learn from it, and have a plan for Tuesday. I just was saying that because it's a series, and this is a team that's got really good players. They've played really well this season, and they've got great competitors. And so coming off a game like this, it's pretty predictable that they're going to be better and they're going to be motivated on Tuesday, and we need to have our mind wrapped around that.
Yeah, Coach, you played, I think, 10 players there in that first quarter. And I think Wiggs started the second quarter. He went on to lead the team in scoring. Can you just talk about his never-ending ability to turn it on a dime?
Yeah, he's got great readiness and professionalism. You can put him in any situation, and he can figure his way, out of it. And he's really good. He's been really good in those units all season. We wanted to get the rotation the way it was tonight, but we'll move things around as necessary, or if the game calls for it. But like I said, he's got great readiness, professionalism. He's been building this muscle for a long time.
Wanted to ask about Alex Caruso and Casey Wallace off the bench. Neither one played big minutes. There's only one shot between the two of them, but there was still a pretty loud presence from them on the court. Just tell me about what you saw from them today.
Yeah, big time, winning basketball by those two guys, from the defensive pressure, execution of the game plan, energy plays, and like I said, I thought the ball movement early in the game was just a little sticky, and we were just kind of finding our way in the game. We haven't played in a while together, and that group kind of got us into a groove. It started with Dub with the attacks and the early passes, and then those guys played on the closeouts really well and made sound decisions and kept the ball ahead of the defense. So they were great, obviously.
Mark Daigneault, maybe The Athletic. Can you go back to that challenge at the half, right before the half? It was a small thing in the grand scheme of things, but it was a hell of a sequence. What did you see that made you challenge, and what did you think that meant for your team in that moment?
I mean, I'm just trying to help the team in any way I can. I didn't think Bagley was legal on that play. Obviously, he wasn't, because they confirmed that with the challenge. But even there, they're about to give the guy 3 shots in a wide margin game. So that challenge doesn't have to have a high probability to make it worth it in my mind. But Alex was pretty convicted that he was illegal on the court. Thought the replay showed enough that he was illegal. That's why we went and got it.
Yeah, Coach. A.J. Mitchell's first playoff minutes off an injury. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, he was great. He's still getting in shape. Like I said, the Chet conversation too. These guys are out for a long time. It takes time to get conditioning back. It takes time to get rhythm back. But in his time with us during the season, he proved to be, a highly functional player that brings certain utility to our group with the things that he does. And it was good to be able to get him out there for those minutes tonight and get him a burn and get him breathing, get him playing, build some confidence, because we're going to need all these guys to be ready to contribute their strengths at different times, including him. So I thought he did a great job.
In 21, this team beat you by 73 points. Does any part of you think about that game today?
No, I'm thinking about game 2.
We go Riley with the last one. I was just going to go back to the Wiggins question about, his readiness. And what to you defines readiness, whatever you look at a player and can trust that they're going to be ready to go regardless of the situation?
Yeah, I mean, just you see him in enough situations over the course of 82 games, and in Aaron's case, over the course of years. And when they can prove to be consistent in changing circumstances and in different contexts, then it's easy to trust them in any circumstance and in any context. And we've got a lot of guys like that. We try to help them build that muscle. That's part of being a pro. But nobody carries that flag better than him. I mean, he's done it for a long time and done it well. And now it's good to see, like, on a stage like this, for him to be able to just get his number called and be ready to play. I mean, his first time he touched the ball, he made a 3. He's just got a great mindset for that stuff.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thanks.
Claire's next.
That was Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault wrapping up Game 1 here at Paycom Center, and a dominant performance. Royce, one of the things that stood out to me is you can't go on a run if you don't get stops, and those were Mark's words. And that's exactly what we saw in this game. The dominance that OKC was able to put up in the fast break points column, 27-5. They outscored Memphis in fast break points. And this Grizzlies team has been one of the best in that category. But the Thunder able to really force the game into its own tempo.
Yeah, the Thunder this regular season, Nick, led the NBA by a wide margin in runs of 15-0 or better, and it's exactly that. It sounds like kind of an oversimplification, like you gotta stop them if you want to stack up runs, but it does really accumulate. That's the way you get it going. And then, again, within that, Memphis starts feeling a little bit of pressure, a little bit of stress, and they get a little looser with the basketball. And it's not just the stops. Now they become the defense to offense tidal wave that you get going where the both ends of the floor are really flowing together. And that's what we saw primarily in that second quarter is there's kind of the quiet stops, and then there's those loud ones that turn into the alley-oops or the throw-ahead dunks.
Yeah, and one of the guys that is a classic two-way player for the Thunder is Chet Holmgren. He had some big-time blocks, was really aggressive getting downhill. I had a chance to talk with him post-game on the floor. Let's take a look at that interview. Smothering from the very outset. What were some keys for you all at the very beginning of this game to set the tone?
Just come out understanding the game plan and play together. And we have a really good coaching staff, so when we listen to what they say and execute it, it leaves us in a good spot.
You were really aggressive attacking downhill. You got the threes going as well. Tell me about your inside-out game on offense.
Just trying to be aggressive and make the right reads out of that. We did a great job as a team of finding the open man. They put 2 on the ball, or we beat our man all night long. So, on the backside, we just had to make the right reads.
It's a long game. It's a long series. What did you like best about the focus you showed for 48 minutes?
It's nothing different than, what we've been training ourselves for all year. It's a 48-minute game, so no matter what the circumstances are, no matter who's on the floor, we just got to stay locked in and, execute what we have to execute out there in each and every possession, and trust that leaves us in a good spot at the end of the game.
Incredible team performance. Congrats. Enjoy your Easter Sunday.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You too, Gallo.
All right, that was Chet Holmgren, and a great breakdown by him of what the Thunder tried to do. And I just really thought that his aggressiveness from the beginning, he missed a few shots early, but the way that he attacked downhill, got to the free throw line 6 times, he just seemed to put pressure on the defense and was able to get some of those kick-out threes as well.
I'm blanking, Nick. What was the game that he had so many free throws in just towards the end of the regular?
Phoenix, right? He had a dozen, I think.
Yeah, and so it's like those types of games where I think a lot of people can kind of sometimes watch them and maybe kind of cast them aside. The Thunder weren't really technically playing for anything, but you could really see some growth from Chet in that game, kind of what you're talking about, the aggressiveness, kind of his savviness and being able to draw some contact, drag the ball out, get defenders to reach in, and that's where you see some of that sort of stuff show up. Just the confidence Chet, I think, is building upon. We heard Coach Mark talk about it right there about kind of Chet working his way back. It's also those sorts of things of just kind of that sharpness and confidence. We saw it show up tonight.
We got to hear from Chet. Well, Shea and J-Dub, they're at the podium right now. Let's listen in.
We're nothing less than that. Just we were who we were all year in those minutes, and it's going to be the key to our success, just staying true to who we are.
And Jalen, what did you see kind of open up in the second quarter to break open the game?
Defensively, we were very good. Usually when you can get stops, it opens up a lot of stuff.
And the lob you had, were you surprised? Did you caught that? Like,
I've never done that before.
Okay.
Just to keep that one short, so that was cool. Yeah.
What else we got? Bradley, go ahead.
Jalen, how do you think that you've improved over this last year? I mean, you were really in control of the game today, especially offensively as a facilitator. Do you think that that's an area that you've grown in?
Yeah, I would just say get more comfortable with the guys that I'm playing with. And, even though it's the playoffs, like, when you plan on being with the team for, like, years at a time, like, you're still, like, trying to figure each other out and, like, constantly trying to improve. So I think that's a big one. So even now, it's like you're still learning and trying to find new ways to be effective with each other. So it's like a constant, like, state of evolution. So, yeah, tonight was good and something I can build off of going forward.
Jalen, can you talk about the energy in the building tonight? I know you obviously experienced it last year with the playoffs, but how does it feel when you're in an environment like this?
Yeah, it's one-on-one for sure. It's very special, something that nobody on our team takes for granted, and it's very cool that it's in Oklahoma. It's like we're like the only pro team here for real, so it's just cool to have, like, it literally feels like kind of like high school when your high school team's really good at, like, football. Like, that's what it feels like here, just like a real sense of, like, everybody wants you to do well, and you can feel that in the arena.
Shea, you guys have had throughout the year times in games where you've sort of avalanched the other team. It's not always with the same group of guys on the floor. But what do you feel like as you think about what happened today and what's happened over the course of the season? Are there some fingerprints of those avalanches that you sort of point to and say, if we do this, that can happen in games?
Yeah, it all starts with getting stops. We get stops and we're able to play fast, play to our strengths, play in open space. That's the key to it all. I mean, if you look at any of those runs, we stack multiple possessions of great defensive possessions. Then it allows us to be who we are offensively. It's no secret. That's what it takes to have those stints in the game, and we know that. And that's our intention when we go out there. Not just to have like one good possession, two bad, one good. It's like stack them up.
There's a couple of times, Shea, in the first half where you're diving on the floor. Obviously, you're one of six, I think, at the time. That the first time I recognized it, and then dove again. I mean, is it important for you to like set the tone on there, get on the floor, just kind of tell your other teammates like it's time to go?
Yeah, sure. I just try to make winning basketball plays at the end of the night. Like every play presents itself an opportunity for you to make a play, and I try to do so.
Yeah, Shea, how comforting is it for you, who carry such a big load, to know you can have one of your worst games in months, and still you guys win by 51 points?
Yeah, I have a great group of guys around me, and I know that, and I've known that for a long time. So tonight is no surprise. They obviously played amazing. If it was a bunch of me's out there tonight, it might have not looked like this, but that's what you have a team for.
Shea, related to that, you played second fewest minutes you have all season because the game was obviously in hand, but is that sort of weird to open the playoffs like that and just kind of have a perspective from the bench late in game that you don't, expect to have in this sort of situation?
Yeah, not at all. I love it. The goal tonight when we woke up was to win the game, and nothing else mattered, and we did that. So whatever it looks like, I'll take it. As long as we win, I'm happy.
Jalen, you guys came out second half, you were up big, and you hit them with a 10-0 run, and the game got up to 50-some points or whatever, but the game never really devolved into guys just trying to get up numbers. It was pretty clean. I mean, talk about that and how you guys maintain that even though you had the game's pretty much over.
A lot of that is understanding your opponent. Like, they just played like 36 hours ago. So they're kind of coming in here. We're still we kind of have to take a little bit of this win with they're going to be way better game two. So we're trying to not give them a lot of life in regards to that. And that's a really good team over there. So game two is going to be completely different. So we're kind of competing with ourselves in a way to make sure we're sharp for game two because we know what we're going to get with them. So that was kind of the biggest goal in mind. And to open up that 10-0 run was, I think Lou got a steal, an offensive rebound that kind of sparked that. So just having plays like that, regardless of when we're up or down, is a good tone setter going into the next game.
Intersect with the Athletic. Last year, the circumstances weren't totally different for game one. We had a team who played Friday. You guys played Sunday. What feels different to you guys this season just versus last season?
That's for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think just another go-around at it. I think last year was just so different in regards, a lot of our team, it was the first time that we had been through the exact same thing. So just this time, obviously, we've been in the situation before, so it's not as foreign. So I think that's the biggest one. But at the end of the day, it's basketball. It doesn't matter how well you shoot, what happens throughout the whole game. It's just win by 50, win by 1. The goal is to win, and that's kind of what we came in here with the mindset of.
Shea, I'm not sure you remember this play, but I believe it was early third quarter. You were flying down in transition, Lou's on the left wing. You sort of pass up the lane and hit Lou for an open three after he missed 2 threes before that. And the camera, the broadcast pans to Sam, and he's kind of doing like this. He's like, smart player.
Sam who?
Sam Presti.
Oh, okay.
And I imagine he's talking about you. I just wonder if you can speak to maybe your growth in terms of basketball IQ. I know that that's kind of arbitrary, the definition of that, but growth in terms of basketball IQ and how he's maybe expressed that to you since you've been here.
Yeah, part of becoming a better player is seeing the game and having a feel for everybody on the court, and not just yourself, your teammates and the other team as well. And it's something that it's hard to learn other than just going through games and being in many different situations. And I think Sam specifically and the organization has given me a runway to figure it out and kind of just feel it out throughout my career. And I think that's why I'm the player I am today. It's because I had a clean runway. I didn't have to worry about making mistakes. I could just trust my work and learn from my experiences. So yeah, he has a big part in that, for sure.
Anybody else?
Yeah, right here.
We'll go 2 more. 1, 2.
Wiggs didn't play in the first quarter at all. You guys went 10 deep. He did not play. He went on to lead the team in scoring. Can you just talk about his never-ending ability to turn it on at any moment?
A good player.
Yeah, I don't think he's turning it on.
Yeah, he's just a really good basketball player. No matter what's going on, no matter what the situation is, like you said, he hadn't played the whole quarter. It's probably 30 minutes in real time. He comes in and makes 3 threes in a row. He's just really good at basketball. It's nothing special. He understands the ups and downs of the game, the business side of it, the politics of it. He understands everything. He's very mature and a very good basketball player, and that's why he has the results he does.
Question for either of you guys. AC tonight only plays 12 minutes, but he's a plus 30. He doesn't attempt a single shot. What is it about him that sort of allows him to affect the game in all sorts of ways despite not really having those box score numbers?
Yeah, personally, from what I've seen from him, that's who he's been his whole career. And he's been a superstar in that role, and that's why he has had the success in the NBA he's never been a guy to average 25 and take a whole bunch of shots, but he's stuck around and is a really important player on a lot of good teams because he's a superstar in that role, and he gives his 10 out of 10 effort for us, and that's why we're the team we are.
Barry's got the last one. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, Shea, you hit that 3 with 2.6 seconds left, and you sort of celebrated in your understated way.
Yeah.
How was that? How was it feeling up to then? You win big, but you knew you were struggling.
Yeah.
You get one to go. What were your emotions and what went through your head?
It felt amazing. Every shot I shot, it felt good. And that's all you can really ask for. They're going to feel good and miss, and they're going to feel bad and make sometimes. But as long as they feel good, you're on the right track. And that one went down.
Thank you,
good.
guys.
Of course.
Okay, guys.
You got to hear from Shea and J-Dub there at the podium. Great perspective from both of them. And I thought what J-Dub had to say about just understanding where their opponent was coming in after basically only 36 hours. There was a healthy level of understanding and also respect that this Thunder team brought into this game. It's why they won the way that they won, and it's why they seem to have a really good head on their shoulders heading into Game 2. What did you think about just the 48-minute approach and the 0-0 mentality that we always hear them talking about?
I mean, Nick Collison said it once upon a time, happy teams get beat. So, it is the sort of mentality that you got to take and you got to learn from. And I think one of the worst things you can do in the postseason, Nick, and you know this, everybody that's watched postseason basketball for a long time around here, is start to make assumptions based off of one game and one outcome. I mean, you can think back to last season, Game 1 against the Dallas Mavericks. The Thunder ran them out of the building in that game as well, and things change. The adjustments get made, opponents get a little healthier, whatever might happen. So that's the reason, again, you have to reset to 0-0, refocus yourself, and don't presume or assume that the Memphis Grizzlies that were the team that they were today on Sunday will be that same team on Tuesday. Things will change, and the Thunder themselves, their goal throughout a playoff series, Nick, is to improve every single game. They did some really good things today. They got to do that again Tuesday night.
Yeah, even after 68 wins and a long layoff, the Thunder was the first team ready today. Looking for a place to watch Thunder playoffs? The game is always on at Thunder Watch Zones, presented by Michelob Ultra. Find a watch zone near you at okcthunder.com/bar network. The Thunder big-time winners, 131-80 over Memphis here in Game 1. We'll be back with more postgame after this break.
Satisfy your sweet tooth with a Brahms old-fashioned banana split. Crafted with a delicious banana, split down the middle and filled with not 1, but 3 scoops of Brahms premium ice cream flavors. To complete this masterpiece, all your favorite toppings are poured on each scoop to bring it all together in a perfect harmony of flavor. Treat yourself to an old-fashioned banana split at Brahms, where every spoonful leaves you wanting more.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
Get employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. You pay what we pay, only from your best at Oklahoma Ford dealers. Proud truck partner of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Power. It's more than what lights our homes. It's what you do with it, and you do wonders. That's why we work every day to make the way we bring you power even better, because every moment matters. So we're making your power even more reliable. The way we live is changing, so we're making your power even smarter. And as your energy needs change, we're working to keep your rates as low as possible, all to make your power go further. At OG&E, we energize life.
Welcome back inside Paycom Center, post-game after Game 1, and now alongside Royce, we've got the great Steve McGehee. And Steve, you have such a unique perspective just covering this team day in and day out. You also got to be in some of the post-game press conferences here. So what stands out to you about the way that this Thunder team rolled in Game 1?
It was 19-15 at one point, right, in the first quarter? Yeah. And then like that, it flipped. They were up 12 after the first quarter, and then they go on a 19-2 run. They opened up the first 10 or 12 points in the third quarter. It went downhill in a hurry for the Grizzlies. Oklahoma City looked like the number 1 seed in the West, and they looked like the team with the best record in the NBA. They were well prepared, for sure.
Yeah, Steve, I wanted to ask you, we've heard from Coach Mark, we heard from J-Dub just now talking about, the Memphis Grizzlies had a short turnaround, 36 hours. This is a noon game. They had to play their way in, literally, to be in this game. So, the expectation from the Thunder is that Memphis will be improved for Game 2. But what did you hear? You were in with their head coach. What did you hear of kind of their perspective on that?
Well, he was asked what the positives were from this game, and number 1 was we can't play any worse. And they were horrible today, setting records they don't want to own. But he said that first half they had way too many turnovers, a 25% turnover ratio, and also they just could not generate good open looks. Credit the Thunder defense for that. And they just didn't have an answer for Oklahoma City, and it was a tough turnaround playing that game late Friday night in Memphis, then taking the flight over here and playing the early game on Sunday. They're going to have to find some ways, find something on that floor that can generate some points on both ends as well, because Oklahoma City, this looked lopsided after Game 1.
Yeah, and Steve, the Thunder defense was so sensational that it led to a lot of easy buckets. But OKC also had another one of those 35 assists afternoons, and you just see the way that this ball moved, the pinging of the ball movement. There were just smiles all over the floor. What stands out about the way that this team plays offense, even in the half court? Because all year long they were one of the best half court offenses in the league.
Well, they have so many threats off the bench, and Aaron Wiggins was the 6th guy to come off the bench, and doesn't he lead them in scoring tonight with 21 points? That's impressive. It was 3 out of 4, 11 points early on in the game. He led the team in scoring. They have so many options on defense and offense, so it's at any given point, someone's going to score points for the Thunder, and that's something Memphis has to deal with. They were not expecting Aaron Wiggins to come off the bench and score 21 points. Next game, it could be Cason Wallace, it could be Kenrich Williams. That Thunder bench showed up.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it next, too, Steve, is that Nick and I were just talking about that between Alex Caruso and Cason Wallace, they took one shot in this game, but you sure felt their impact. Now, I will say Cason's one shot was that insane dunk that he had, so that was a loud shot. But just the impact that Caruso and Cason can have on a game, not even scoring like Wiggins did, but just on the defensive end.
It's just amazing. Caruso played 11 minutes, I believe. They didn't really need him to keep him fresh and ready to go for Game 2 and Game 3, Game 4. But their defense, Caruso is able to, deflections. He has quick hands. And Cason Wallace, All-State in good hands. With Cason Wallace, that is so true with this team. The defensively is they're probably their biggest strength. You know, the offense to score points, but they have defense from position 1 down to position. How many guys played tonight? Everyone.
13. Yeah, 13
All
guys.
13 can play defense, and I thought Hartenstein was a great addition in the offseason. He started 7 out of 7 from the field, but really Aaron Wiggins, though, was the story in this game to me, coming off the bench and just lighting up the Grizzlies.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming and joining us. We really appreciate you being here, and good luck the rest of the way. We'll be seeing you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on Thunder Postgame. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more here from Paycom Center.
Don't miss out on OKC's hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater with acts like Randy Rogers Band, May 16th. Jay Leno and Arsenio Hall, June 6th.
My wife and I go to the supermarket, and the clerk says, "Do you want a bag for that?" "No, we're going to eat it here, okay?"
Nick Swartzen, June 7th.
If a girl's driving, I never call shotgun. I'm like trunk, glove compartment.
And Sawyer Brown, July 11th. Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
My doctor is my hero. My doctor makes me happy, makes me feel safe. It helps me get strong.
We're just so grateful that we don't have to travel out of state.
Oklahoma Children's Hospital cares for my child like their own. Gives us hope.
And has our trust.
Craving a dessert that's simply irresistible? Indulge in Brahms Molten Lava Cake Sundae. Ripples of hot fudge layered on chocolate bun cakes, and scoops of Brahms premium vanilla ice cream, topped with more fudge and showered with toasted almonds. This Sunday is a chocolate lover's delight with whipped cream and a cherry on top. For a dessert that's irresistible, try Brahms Molten Lava Cake Sundae.
Welcome back inside Paycom Center, the site of a monstrous win by the Thunder, 131-80 over the Memphis Grizzlies in Game 1. And we've got one of the guys that factored in massively into that victory here sitting with us, Aaron Wiggins. And Aaron, before we get into the whole game flow, there's a question I got to ask you about some of those passes up the sideline that Alex Caruso hit you with. I think on one of those extra passes, he was smiling ear to ear as he slung it up to you, just knowing that that ball was going to go in. How good does it feel to have that level of confidence from your teammates every time you touch the rock?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, just high IQ guys. As the play is kind of developing, we're moving and just finding the spacing to create good looks. And as that play developed, it was right after a similar play right before it had happened. So he was kind of laughing, and he had that confidence knowing that, you know, I felt good. So he made that extra pass, and I hit the three. And shortly after there was a timeout, we went to the bench, and he's like, "I knew it was going to happen again." And he was like, "You see me laughing?" And I was like, "Yeah." So awesome feeling, good experience. But it's awesome just playing with smart guys like that.
Wiggs, you know, throughout this game, 37 assists, which is an OKC playoff record. So many different guys in double figures. You lead the team in scoring, even though you didn't play in the first quarter. Just a lot of the conversation after the game has just kind of been about the power of this squad and how you guys can collectively do it. And I know a lot of it's the stay ready mentality, but to do it in the playoffs, is that a little bit, I mean, there's something extra to that, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's an extra, bit of everything when the playoffs get going. So definitely, you got to have the mental kind of strength to be ready at any point in time. You got to be able to tap into, who you are as a player, and understand that the same, approach that we have in the regular season is, the way that we, try to have in the playoffs also. So you kind of just train your mind and train your body to be prepared for what we're going to see in the playoffs during the regular season, and it's just a carryover. So,
Aaron, we often see in these games, when you all have these massive defensive stands where it's just stop after stop after stop, there's sometimes that moment of exhale. We didn't see that at all tonight. It just seemed like wave after wave. What's that like out there on the floor when you feel like that moment that's natural to come in any NBA game where the other team maybe can string 2 or 3 scores together? How is it possible that you guys prevent that from happening?
Man, just mentally understanding, you got to be able to stack possessions, both offensively and defensively. And on the defensive end, we just did a good job We just did a good job just kind of staying true to our identity and understanding that we got to stack possession. So we did a really good job just kind of trying to limit them and make sure we were on our stuff on the defensive end.
Wiggs, I'm going to ask you about a good point Dub made post-game, which was talking about the turnaround the Grizzlies had, the 36 hours, and that you guys are fully aware this is going to be a different team in Game 2 and how they're going to approach this game. So, look, 51-point margin, unusual for a postseason game, but how do you kind of reset to 0-0 and get your mind ready for a Game 2 that'll be different than it was today?
Yeah, the series, you got to get 4 wins. So we got to move on past this one, make sure we get back and, watch film and be ready to go on Tuesday. So.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. Great stuff. Thanks for breaking down the game and just unbelievable performance once again. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that is Aaron Wiggins. Thank you so much for joining us here on Postgame. We will be back with more here from Paycom Center after we step aside for a quick break.
Beats and Bites Festival is back again at Riverwind Casino, where good grooves and great food are on tap all summer long. Kicking off on June 14th with Josh Turner and Edwin McCain. Along with crave-worthy eats from local food trucks, there's something for everyone. Get your tickets online or at the box office for just $10. Only at Riverwind Casino.
Power. It's more than what lights our homes. It's what you do with it, and you do wonders. That's why we work every day to make the way we bring you power even better, because every moment matters, so we're making your power even more reliable. The way we live is changing, so we're making your power even smarter. And as your energy needs change, we're working to keep your rates as low as possible, all to make your power go further. At OG&E, we energize life.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
Get employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. You pay what we pay, only from your best at Oklahoma Ford dealers. Proud truck partner of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
A dominant Game 1 for OKC, but here's the rest of the slate here for Round 1 against the Memphis Grizzlies. And you see Game 2 on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. All of those dates and times there. Be sure that you're tuning in to FanDuel Sports Network for those games. We'll have the coverage for you at 6 o'clock for pregame show on Tuesday. So still a long way to go here in this series, Royce, as you think about this is just one game. Yes, a massive win, 131-80. But there's a recognition that these series, these games, they can turn on a dime. What's that experience factor for OKC now with a couple guys who have a lot of experience under their belt and the entire team, basically the entire rotation, having been in the playoffs before?
Yeah, great point, Nick. I do think that is where you can kind of lean on that experience. Again, we talked about it earlier, just some of the playoff series that the Thunder had last year where they experienced a game like this and you had to flip the page because, look, we all know that what a road team's goal is in these games is to get a split. Of course, they want to come in and they want to win both games, but every road team is looking to try to steal home court advantage and take it back to their building with a split. So that goal is still right in front of the Memphis Grizzlies in a Game 2. And again, the Thunder obviously know that. You can't just make assumptions based on the outcome of this game. So you got to reset it and square things away and get ready for a Game 2, which obviously we can expect the Memphis Grizzlies to be a lot more prepared for in that one.
Yeah, Grizzlies head coach Tuomas Isala was definitely trying to put that pressure on the Thunder during the pregame, saying they have to win both of these two games here at home. Maybe a little bit of psychological warfare happening early in the series. And so the Thunder have an opportunity, though, to make sure that they're putting their stamp here early in this series, and they got to do that on Tuesday. First round coverage of the NBA playoffs on FanDuel Sports Network. Stream any single game for just $6.99 with no subscription needed. Only available for purchase and view during the live game. Content availability varies by region. Visit FanDuelSportsNetwork.com for more information. So the Thunder, Royce, they play a complete game here this afternoon. It's Easter Sunday. Everybody in the building is just so fired up and excited. What do you feel like are maybe the carryovers? You know, some of the things, the shooting luck for both teams might not be repeatable. Memphis, they're actually going to get to sleep in the same bed for a couple nights in a row here, unlike what they've had to deal with this past week just to get in. What are some things that you feel like can be sustainable here in Game 2?
You know, I think it's really kind of what Wiggs was telling us to some degree, which is the experiences of the 82. What we can take away a lot from this game, Nick, is the Thunder look like the Thunder. You know, there's a lot of conversation about how playoff basketball is different. The vibe is different. It's officiated different. This looked like the Thunder playing basketball today. The way that the ball moved, 37 assists, the defensive effort, the intensity, all those sorts of things. So to me, that is like the biggest carryover. Of course, you can expect your opponent to maybe sharpen up, make adjustments, and play a better game. But the big carryover is you just play like the Thunder again, and a lot of that sort of stuff is going to take care of itself.
That was really established in the first quarter as Mark Daigneault played deep into his rotation. He, nobody makes an adjustment heading into the series. You just play your game, you play your brand of basketball, and that's exactly what the Thunder did so far in this series and in this game. They just played their style, played their brand, did an excellent job of it, but they've got to rev up the engines once again and do it on Tuesday. So just an excellent job by OKC, and the Thunder going to get a chance to do it all over again. Once again, our final score, 131-80 for Royce Young. I'm Nick Gallo. A reminder that we'll have Game 2 of the Thunder's first-round series versus Memphis for you on Tuesday at 6:30 on FanDuel Sports Network, with Thunder Live pregame hitting you starting at 6 p.m. Until then, good night from Paycom Center in downtown OKC.
When she stayed here in September 1995.
It's very princess, I have to say. I feel like a princess myself. Yeah. Can I even